On today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, a brand new Quiet Place Day 1 trailer is dropped, and it's a banger. Also, Disney, Hulu, and ESPN Plus have started their big password sharing crackdown. We're going to discuss that. Apparently, Chris Hemsworth, Matthew Vaughn, and Sam Rockwell have secretly filmed an upcoming action film that Matthew Vaughn says is going to change action films forever. Huge news in the world of streaming. Disney, Fox, and Warner Brothers have all teamed up, and they are creating the mother of all sports streaming apps that's going to have like all the sports on one app. Pedro Pascal, apparently SAG has confirmed, the Screen Actors Guild has confirmed that Pedro Pascal has indeed, it's our first official confirmation, been cast in Fantastic Four. And we're going to talk about all the trailers you can expect to see at the upcoming Super Bowl. That and a few things more. The John Campea Show podcast starts right now. Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio, brought to you in part by our friends over at Mint Mobile. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gather around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. Not just giving you our opinions, but giving you some information and context so you guys can form your own well-informed opinions, whether they're the same or even different than ours. Joining me in studio today, we got Ray Ora.
Cha-ching!
We got Jonathan Voico.
Hello.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett.
I'm here.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about those topics that I listed off. Then the last part of the show, it's up to you. We're going to take your live comments and questions. Now, we already asked our beloved YouTube channel members, and thank you guys for being YouTube channel members, to fire in some topics and questions. But if you're just watching the show live, and you got to be watching the show live, go ahead and use the super chat feature in the live chat, and we'll address questions, if they're appropriate to be addressed on our show, at the end of the show. All right, guys. That down. Let's dive into it here, shall we? You know, my favorite movie of 2018, I mean, that was the year that Black Klansman came out. Fabulous. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Fabulous. But my favorite movie that year was John Krasinski's A Quiet Place. I just loved it. I loved the second one too. And so I got excited, although a little cautious about how much is too much. But when they announced that they're going to be doing A Quiet Place Day 1, a movie with new characters looking at the actual day the alien invasion began. And then I was especially excited to find out that one of the single greatest actresses in the world, Lupita Nyong'o, was going to be starring in it. Now, we got a taste of it at CinemaCon back in April, like a year ago. They showed us our first bit of footage, and it got us all excited. Well, they just dropped the first trailer. And this is, I think, inevitably going to be the Super Bowl trailer, but as is now the custom, the Super Bowl trailers tend to drop online sometimes a bit early. They've done it here. And there's some of the footage that they showed us at CinemaCon. Some of the stuff at CinemaCon is not in this trailer, but there's some stuff in the trailer that wasn't in the CinemaCon footage either.
Yes.
And I got to say, it looks great. I mean, look, it's just clearly giving us a glimpse. And it's really not even much because it's like a minute and 30. You know, I like a good solid 2 minute, 15-second trailer. It's a minute 30, and like the first 30 seconds of it is just footage from the old Quiet Place movies. But still, this delivered. The job of a trailer, we talk about all this all the time, is to take your expectation level, no matter how low it is or how high it is, and bump it up a little bit. And Rob, I got to say, for me, this trailer delivers on the promise of what all the good stuff we got from the first two ones, but also promises to tell us a different angle of the story. And I'm kind of psyched for it. What did you think about the trailer?
Dude, this trailer I'd like to call Bobby Catnip. Because this is everything I want. I mean, since I was a little kid, give me massive urban destruction brought on by an alien invasion. It's one of those things that if I perk up, it makes me happy. I watch this trailer. I mean, look at this shot right now. I mean, give it to me. Whether it's the beginning of Akira with a nuclear bomb going off in Tokyo, whether it's Independence Day, whether it's War of the Worlds, whether it's Earth versus the Flying Saucers. And in this, you literally have aliens raining from the sky in New York City, and Lupita Nyong'o's hiding under a car. No, I love this trailer. I thought it was a perfect, and even the tagline, you know, the earth goes quiet.
The day the earth goes
The
quiet.
day the earth goes quiet. I mean, they got to bring back, first of all, I don't know what happened to taglines. I don't know. Every movie, all the great
In space, no one can hear you scream.
one of the greatest taglines ever. Jaws 2, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. We need marketing departments got to start doing their jobs. I want taglines to come back. And when I saw this in the trailer, I was watching with Elizabeth this morning, I'm like, bravo. This trailer is great. It gives me everything that I wanted, except the question remains, you know, how did they survive entering the Earth's atmosphere and these asteroids? And how did they survive crashing to Earth? Don't care. Don't care. I will suspend my disbelief. This looked great. It's everything I wanted. And you know what? You know what I really like about this? I really like even the technique in the trailer, like day 474.
Yes.
You know, and then they went backwards. If you're going to do a prequel, this is the way to do it.
And also, if you're going to be stuck with someone, why not be Jaimon Hanzu? He could probably beat up all those aliens no matter what. She lucked out. I was watching it, I was like, she lucked out because she got stuck with the right person.
Yeah, there's a lot of people she could have woke up to that would have banged some pots and pans and left them with her and ran away. But I mean, see, and it's got Jaimon Hansu, right? As Ray's pointing out, I love Jaimon Hansu.
I do too. I
Ever since Amistad, I followed this guy's career with great interest, just like Palpatine. And I think this looks great. I cannot wait to see this thing. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Remember a little while ago, Netflix announced that they were going to start cracking down on password sharing? And a bunch of people got online to proclaim, this is the death of Netflix. I'm never going to watch Netflix again if you dare take away me stealing your service by sharing somebody else's passwords. How dare you? How dare you? What happened? Netflix's subscription base had the biggest growth they've had in years, which ended off the quarter with a record-shattering quarter for them. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that not only did they crack down on password sharing, but then they offered options for people who were sharing passwords to give them easier ins to come in and use the service. And they got a flood of new subscriptions. So all those people yelling and screaming, no one will ever use Netflix again. Well, clearly it worked for Netflix very well. And in this streaming world we live in, it's a game of copycat. So all the other streaming services watched Netflix doing this and said, ooh, we should do that too. And Disney did announce a little while ago that they were also going to be taking steps in implementing cracking down on password sharing. Well, now it's a reality. As all the notices have been going out, I've gotten 3 separate notices, one for my Disney Plus account, one for my Hulu account, one for my ESPN account, that, Disney is starting. They are now officially starting the crackdown. This comes from the folks over at The Verge who wrote the following. The writing's been on the wall for months now, but Disney Plus is finally implementing measures to keep U.S. subscribers from sharing their passwords with people named Ray who are not paying for the service. Today, Disney Plus began sending out emails informing subscribers about new changes to its terms of service that will, among other things, make it harder for people to access the service using login credentials that aren't actually there. And they also kind of start highlighting some of the repercussions if your account is found to be sharing passwords. That you're gonna be in trouble. Like you might lose your access. You might lose your account and stuff like this. All right. Some old thoughts on this. I go back to the Netflix thing. Some new thoughts on this as it pertains to Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN. The old thoughts on this are, the same thing I said about the Netflix. I don't blame them. They create this service so an individual or a house can pay for the service and have access to it. When you just call up your buddies and friends and hand out your passwords that anybody can just use it, that's stealing the service. I mean, you can try to rationalize it all you want. You can try to use semantics all you want, try to dance around it, but at the end of the day, that's stealing the service.
Stealing is a harsh word. I prefer proxy subscriber.
Proxy subscriptions.
Wow. Play that euphemism game.
Involuntary proxy subscriptions.
Let's make this clear.
I feel that way about my taxes.
John never shared his password with me.
He just took it.
I straight stole it.
Yeah.
So,
He straight up took it.
so maybe, let's not,
Proxy
So I mean, and look, this
subscribers.
isn't anything new, right? This is simply when it was Netflix and now that it is Disney and Hulu and ESPN, This is simply just them enforcing what it was always supposed to be. If you want ESPN Plus, you pay for ESPN Plus. Not you and your old college roommate and your ex-girlfriend and her mom and dad who you liked more than your ex-girlfriend and whatever. Like, that's never what it was intended for. It was intended to be this. And I got to tell you, as soon as these things went out, I started to see the same diatribe going on online. Say, well, that's it, Disney. I'm not going to use Disney Plus anymore. And listen, there's lots of reasons to unsubscribe from Disney Plus, but this isn't one of them. You know, this is just if you've got Disney Plus, and this doesn't affect you if you are a subscriber. It doesn't affect you or me in the least. So as far as new thoughts with Disney and Hulu and stuff like that, I think this just is going to be the domino effect. I don't think Netflix or Disney or any of these streaming services are done. I think they're going to continue to invest money into technology that will help them crack down on password sharing and all this kind of stuff. And listen, there's a lot of stuff these streaming services do that piss me off, like price increases every 5 minutes. This is one of the things that they're doing that is completely acceptable that they're doing. Anyway, Rob, you heard about this. What do you think about it?
Well, I think it's a natural evolution of what should happen. I mean, we've seen, I think the worst thing in the world was the devaluation of entertainment via online. You know, it started out with music. The music industry had to deal with it, and streaming. There is a thought that, oh, if I can download a file and somebody can send it to me, it must be free. It certainly killed independent financing for low budget movies. You know, how do you as soon as your movie's pirated, people have no problem at all. John Schnepp, the late great John Schnepp, found that out when he made his documentary.
It nearly ruined him.
It nearly ruined him as a person. I mean, over millions of downloads from the very people that should support him. And people, I understand, I get it. But, you know, these companies are spending a great deal of money to entertain you, and they're asking relatively very little in return. And I think, I mean, Netflix, Disney, Max, I mean, I'm getting certainly enough entertainment. I mean, 1 month of their service is 2 or 3 nice top shelf not well drinks, but top shelf drinks at a bar.
Right.
You know, that's one night out. And that's the least you could do for the amount of money and the amount of entertainment they're providing, the amount of money they spend to provide you entertainment. Yep. So this makes a lot of sense. And, you know, look what you're getting. They're making these bundles more and more attractive. They're exponentially growing the kinds of access you have to programming.
They're also removing some of it.
Well, yeah,
to be fair,
that's
right?
that's another issue.
That's another issue
entirely.
altogether, yeah.
But yes, so I think this is only fair. Hey, we got when the getting was good. Now it's time to pay the piper.
Here's what I wish, though. Here's what I wish would have happened in an ideal world. Like if Netflix had taken the lead and said, we're going to be cracking down on password sharing, subscriptions went up as a result of it, and then Netflix says, hey, as a result of all these subscriptions, new subscribers going up, people stopping sharing passwords, we're going to freeze our fees. We're going to freeze the cost of our subscription service for 2 or 3 years. We
locks you in.
Right? Like you guys came through. You stopped sharing passwords. Our subscriber base went up. For the next 3 years, we're not going to raise prices on our subscription service. That, of course, did not happen.
It ain't show friends, John.
It's show business. I get it.
Show business.
In an ideal world, what I would like to see is when Netflix or Disney does that, and when they see positive results saying, cool, you guys are working with us, so we're going to work with you, freezing our price increases, not forever, but for a couple years. But you're right, that's a pipe dream. That ain't going to happen.
And okay, all jokes aside, if you're going to share, at least do it like with consideration like me. I go to that person's house and I watch there. I don't.
Well, that's
watch
not
at
even
my...
sharing. That's just you coming to my house and watching my TV. That's fine.
And you bonus, you get food in the refrigerator too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
another thing.
I mean, that's crazy.
What I need Disney and Netflix to create is like coin opening things that people
like a
coin to
vending
open your
machine.
fridge.
Yeah.
So every time Ray's got to put in coins.
That's
actually, wouldn't that be funny? I mean, I could see that in some dystopian movie. If you want to watch a show, you have to put coins in a box. You know, this one's
50
7
cents
quarters
for 45 minutes of viewing.
I mean, it's safe,
like
though,
a peep show.
Because look, if you think about it this
Not
way,
that you'd know.
If you share somebody's streaming service, you've essentially streamed with every person that person streamed with, and that
right.
can get dangerous.
Like an STD, man. You should probably call the last person you were with to let them know. All right. Guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, in a world now where almost all of us walk around with a global audio-visual communications device in our pockets, and social media and all that kind of stuff, it's become impossible to even hide a cameo in a movie, let alone hiding the production of an entire movie. But apparently, that is what Matthew Vaughn has just pulled off. Now, of course, Matthew Vaughn's terrible movie, Argylle, is in theaters now. And it pains me to say that. I love Matthew Vaughn. I love Bryce Dallas Howard. I love Henry Cavill. I love Sam Rockwell. I love everybody involved with it. I've been dying to see that movie, and it was just awful. But Matthew Vaughn, who's made some fantastic movies, is out there doing the promo circuit for it. And while doing an interview for one of them, he revealed that he is not in the planning stage. He has secretly shot, as a producer, a movie with Sam Rockwell and Chris Hemsworth. This comes to us from Matthew Vaughn. He said this in an interview. I've been producing a very, very special movie. I'm very excited about it. I just saw a half-hour cut together. This will have the same sort of impact as Kick-Ass did. You ask Sam Rockwell, and he'll just give everything away in an interview. We're like, Sam, we're under contract. You're not allowed to talk about that. But it is a movie. I can say that it is a movie that is written, directed, and starring my stunt team. It is a film like no movie has ever been made, and it's reinventing an action movie. That's big words. To come out and say, well, first of all, say it's going to have the impact of Kick-Ass. That was pretty big. Kick-Ass had a huge impact. Still, like, oh God, I love that movie so much. To say then something like, it's like no other movie has ever been made. To say that it is reinventing an action movie, that's big talk. Especially coming off not such a big movie with Argylle. But, I mean, if Matthew Vaughn is saying this is bonkers, this is nuts, this is like nothing you've ever seen, it's going to have the same impact as my film did, and you got Chris Hemsworth involved, a guy who said self-imposedly he was going to be stepping back as a result of some of his genetic health testing and stuff like that.
He's just too healthy.
He's just too healthy. It's bad for him. No, he's clearly still working on, he worked on this. So there's two different things here, Rob, and I think there's two different stories. One, Matthew Vaughn's got a new produced movie coming out with Chris Hemsworth and Sam Rockwell, right? That's exciting. Action movie like nothing we've ever seen. That's exciting. But the secondary story is this. How on earth did they pull off shooting a movie with Chris Hemsworth and Sam Rockwell, and none of us were any the wiser? I mean, that's a coup that they just pulled off. Anyway, what do you think about the sounds of this?
Well, you know, I've heard reports that Matthew Vaughn actually, Argylle didn't cost $200 million. That's what he was able to sell it to Apple for, was $200 million. And if that's the case, look, it would not be difficult, and I don't understand why more people don't do this. If you have the money to, say, make two movies, you could just do them all as one production and nobody would be the wiser. You know, you have your, it's like the John Hurt Contact idea. Why make one when you can have two at twice the price? So your budget, you know, you just extend the shooting and continue shooting. Your stunt team on Argylle, it's interesting. What interests me here is he said it was written, directed, you know, by his stunt team.
Yeah.
So maybe like Chad Stileski or whatever.
I mean, remember, a lot of people forget that the people who came up with and made the John Wick films were stunt guys.
I mean, let's not, Craig Baxley, who directed the greatest movie in the world, Stone Cold, with Brian Bosworth in the central role, and Lance Henriksen, he was a stunt coordinator before he started directing. If you haven't seen Stone Cold, I ask you, why not? But it makes sense to me that they could have done this. And Matthew Vaughn, before he directed, was a very savvy, he's produced for Guy Ritchie. So he was a very savvy producer, and I would imagine, you know, if you do it John Wick style, the first John Wick movie was $20 million. I'm not saying that that's chump change, but if you have a movie that's $100 million that you're making it, and you up the budget to 120, and part of your production schedule you had built in this second movie, you know, all it takes is a savvy producer like Matthew Vaughn is to do something like this. Now, the fact that no one knew Chris Hemsworth and Sam Rockwell, because Sam Rockwell was in Argylle. Yeah. So you can already...
You can camouflage that a little bit.
Yeah, and for Matthew Vaughn or Guy Ritchie or whatever, having cameos is not... Nobody pays attention because it's not Marvel. It's not Star Wars, so people don't care. Oh, these people are in your movie. You've already got a cast of thousands.
But people pay attention to where Chris Hemsworth goes and what he does. So,
Yeah, but he might have been shooting. I'm shooting another documentary.
maybe.
You know?
Yeah. I'll say this, though. Now, granted, Matthew Vaughn is producing this, not directing it. Big distinction. Big difference. I really hope that whatever this is good, though.
Yeah, me too.
Because I was doing open mic last night, and somebody like brought in and said, what happened to Matthew Vaughn? Because listen, unapologetically, I'm a big Matthew Vaughn fan. I love Matthew Vaughn. But the reality is, since he's done what I think is maybe the most underrated film of all time, Stardust, not the best film of all time, but underrated film of all time, Stardust.
Based on a Neil Gaiman story.
Obviously doing Kick-Ass, X-Men First Class, Kingsman. But since then, he did Kingsman 2, which some people may like, and I'm not trying to put down anybody's opinion if you liked it. To me, that movie sucked. As much as I loved the first one, that's how much I disliked the second one. Then he did The King's Man with the greatest actor in the world who doesn't have an Oscar right now, Ralph Fiennes, and that was awful. And now he's given us Argylle, a movie that I desperately wanted to love, and it's awful. I would love to see, and granted, he's not directing this one, he's producing it, so it's a different thing, but man, I would love to see Matthew Vaughn get whatever kryptonite somebody slipped into his back pocket out and get his powers back and get back to making the type of movies that I love seeing him make. So I hope this is great.
I'd love to see him do something more like Layer Cake again.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, get back to that
movie's-
kind of stuff.
It's a banger. Again, I don't know. Maybe it's a tonal issue, but I will say this, John. Surprisingly, Max Allan Collins, who wrote the novel Road to Perdition, he wrote me an email yesterday, and he talked about him and his wife. They loved Argylle.
I've talked to
They
one or two
loved
other
it.
people that really liked it too. Listen, I said this before,
Is it the new Hudson Hawk?
but I mean, there are people who like the second Kingsman, and I stand by that. If the second Kingsman appealed to you and worked for you, I think Argylle will work for you. The similarities between the second Kingsman and Argylle is one of the reasons I really hated the movie. But if the second Kingsman worked for you, I think you're really going to enjoy Argylle.
Did it work for $200 million for you?
Well, so far,
I don't know.
it's been out almost a week now. It has made, hold on a second, it has made a grand total of $35.3 million.
But you know what? That is $35 million more than Red Notice made or The Gray Man made, and they both were $200 and $200
Yes.
million plus movies.
But that's not the measure they go by.
No, I know,
But it's
you know,
true.
it's Apple.
It's true.
As people have been writing to me, they're like, Rob, that's almost $1 trillion company. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but their division is not $1 trillion.
No,
division.
and I said, I don't care if you have
By the way, it's a $2
$100
trillion company.
Yeah, I don't care. If you lose $200 million, someone cares.
Oh yeah.
No one spends that amount of money.
Yeah, it's not the iPhone division that's paying for these movies. It's a specific division that has specific budgets.
Yes.
And they don't have a $2 trillion budget.
No.
So I hope they at least make their marketing budget back. And at this point, I'm not even sure they're going to make their marketing budget back. At any rate, sign me up as being excited to see whatever this new movie
Me
is.
too.
I hope it's great.
I always give
really
everyone
good.
the benefit of the doubt.
All right, guys. Listen, we still got a few things to talk about here, like Warner Brothers, Disney, and Fox teaming up to create the world's ultimate weapon, a sports streaming app. Pedro Pascal, SAG has just made it official. He is cast in the new Fantastic Four. And we're going to talk about the trailers you can expect to see at the upcoming Super Bowl. But before we do, we're going to take a second and thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, MasterClass and DraftKings. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, MasterClass. Everyone, it's a new year, so picture that thing that you've always wanted to learn. Now, picture learning it from a person who's literally one of the best in the world at it, and that's what you get with MasterClass. This year, learn from the best to become your best with MasterClass. Don't just talk about improving, MasterClass helps you actually do it. Because MasterClass offers over 180 world-class instructors, so whether you want to master negotiation with Chris Voss, like I did, think like a boss with Martha Stewart, or learn the art of storytelling from the man himself, Neil Gaiman, MasterClass has you covered. Because with MasterClass, you get unlimited access to intimate one-on-one classes with the world's best. At MasterClass, there are over 200 classes to pick from, with new classes being added every month. And if you're a viewer of the John Campea Show, you probably love movie making, storytelling, television, so you would be totally interested in things like screenwriting from Aaron Sorkin, learn developing original TV series from Stranger Things' The Duffer Brothers, or maybe you like the music side of movies, well, you can learn film scoring from Hans Zimmer. And right now, our listeners will get an additional 15% off an annual membership at masterclass.com/Campea. Get 15% off right now at masterclass.com/Campea. masterclass.com/Campea. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, DraftKings. DraftKings, the leader in fantasy sports, just dropped a brand new app, Pick 6. Pick 6 is the newest way for you to get in on the fantasy football action with DraftKings. New customers can make their first NFL picks and get up to $100 in Pick 6 credits if those picks lose. All you got to do is pick between 2 and 6 NFL players and choose if they're going to have more or less of that stat. For example, will a player have more or less than 100 rushing yards, or will a player have more or less than 1 touchdown? Track your lineup and compete against others for a shot at huge cash prizes. So download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and sign up with the code Campea. New customers can get up to $100 back in Pick 6 credits if your first football pick set loses. That's code Campea only on DraftKings Pick 6. One offer per new customer. First qualifying pick set winnings less entry fees must generate negative number. Max reward up to $100 equal to amount of negative number. Issued in non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits, valid for Pick 6 use only. Expire after 1 year. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. Valid only in states where DraftKings Pick 6 operates. Pick 6 not available in all states, including but not limited to Connecticut and New York. For up-to-date list of states, please visit dkng.co/pick6states. Void where prohibited. See terms and pick6.draftkings.com. And thank you to our friends at MasterClass and DraftKings for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, one of the big things about streaming versus cable that has really been the lifeline keeping cable in business, I think, for a lot of people, is in streaming the lack of sports. I mean, you got, what's the name of the fight network?
DAZN.
DAZN, you know, you got DAZN. You've got a couple of smaller things. Lately, we've seen streaming services trying to dip their toes in and doing some stuff. Well, what happens if the streamers go full-blown sports? And that is the topic of today's Mint Mobile Hotline question of the day. Listen, guys, if you got a topic or question for the show and you'd like to hear your voice on our show, go ahead and call our hotline anytime 24/7 at 951-268-4259. And today's is specifically about the creation of the Death Star of sports apps. Check it out.
Hey, John and crew. Thank you for taking my call today. Today I'm calling about a new announcement that was just made by Fox, Warner Brothers Discovery, and ESPN about a joint streaming app for sporting events. There's one thing that I've been feeling that streaming services kind of lack a little bit. It's the live sporting option. A lot of them have started to dip their toes in the water, but no one's really jumped fully in. And I was reading this article on ESPN, and it's saying they're going to have sports from every major sporting event. They're going to split the ownership of the app 3 different ways, and I think it's a pretty good idea. I think that a one-stop app for sporting could only be good things for both the consumer and for the company. So I want to know what you guys think. You think this is a good idea or a bad idea? And for the love of God, John, bring on that filthy.
All right, man. Thanks a lot for calling that in. And you know what?
For the love of God.
For the love of God, bring on that filthy. So we've talked, months ago about the idea that, eventually we're going to start seeing like the major streamers bundling each other, like, Max and Disney Plus. Instead of paying $30 for individually, pay $20 for both of them together or something like that. And we're starting to see that happen, but they all knew that live sports, and this has been the talk of the streaming world for the past 2 years, really. Live sports is that nut they got to crack, right? Well, instead of trying to do one individually, Fox, Disney, and Warner Brothers have gotten together, as our caller suggested, and they've made the Death Star of sports apps. I'm going to read this a little bit at length because I think it's worth doing it. This comes to us from The Verge, whose headline reads, ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers are putting together a juggernaut sports streaming app. This is what it says. Warner Brothers Discovery is preparing to launch a streaming service in partnership with ESPN, Disney, and Fox Sports, as reported earlier by CNBC and Sports Business Journal. All three companies have agreed in principle to launch an as-yet unnamed standalone app, of which they all share 1/3 ownership. This fall, that streams a range of leagues and sports. Now get this. This is what's going to be included in this app. It is poised to have sports networks on it, including ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, SECN, ACCN, ESPN News, ABC, Fox, Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, BTN, TNT, TBS, and True TV. All in one app. The new service will air games from the National Football League, Major League Baseball, the National Basketball Association, and the National Hockey League, along with NASCAR, PGA Tour Golf, Grand Slam Tennis, and more. Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max users will also get the option to bundle with the new service. Now, they've made no official announcement yet, but insiders are saying that they think this thing is going to launch at $35 a month. We're talking ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News, Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, TNT, TBS, TNT, the SEC stuff, like for $35 a month. And they're saying like Disney will probably get like 20 of that $35 a month because, I mean, they're contributing the biggest parts. And then in a few months, they would up that from $35 a month to $40 a month. And then probably in a year to $2,085 a month.
Probably.
That's just my speculation, of course. This is major. This is really major. And this is just me speculating, so feel free to disagree or correct me if you think I'm wrong. I might even change my mind on this in the next couple of days. But this also seems to be a couple of the streamers like Disney and Warner Brothers trying to, on a united front, stand and position themselves well against Netflix. Because, of course, Netflix, we already know, is kind of dipping its toe into the sports world, or at least the sports entertainment world, when they announced that they just did a $5 billion deal to do Monday Night Raw starting next January. And Jonathan let me know about this earlier today. They're kind of, what's the NFL one where they follow the team preseason? It's called
Hard Knocks.
Hard Knocks, right? It sounds like they're doing their own Hard Knocks. They're going to follow the Boston Red Sox.
Right. For the full season.
For a full season. Kind of docu style, right? Kind of like The Office, except it's going to be the Boston Red Sox. What do you call this pair of pants? Khakis. You know, it's going to be that. So, I mean, they're trying to get into it, but, you know, the live stuff is something that Netflix has not really been able to crack because they tried doing live like Love is Blind. That was their first attempt at doing something live. That didn't go well.
Let's not forget that Amazon also signed a deal with the PBC, like boxing. So they're going to have that on there too. So everyone's trying to get their hands in on some sort of a sports-related property or franchise or whatever.
But this kills them all.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
But my question is, there's teams like the Lakers and Dodgers. Jonathan knows about this. Has deals with Spectrum.
Right,
like
they expire.
You know, how do they fit those things?
Well, they're daily. That's the thing. Like, I probably still wouldn't sign up for this because I have to do Spectrum Sportsnet, which I get through AT&T or Spectrum.
That's to watch the Dodgers.
Yeah,
specifically because I'm in market. So this wouldn't help me that much. Now, if they absorbed that in the future, like if that deal went away and they could bring in every game of the Dodgers,
then it's
dude, I'd be.
But remember, like all the Spectrum
Cable would be
Sportsnet
done.
stuff, like with the Lakers, these things expire too, right? So even if you're just talking about the things that currently exist on Fox Sports 1, ESPN, TNT, all that kind of stuff, just that alone. So you will not have to be an ESPN subscriber to have all the ESPN content. All you're going to need now, obviously, this isn't going to apply or be very meaningful to people who aren't major sports fans. But the reason this impacts you is because this is going to be a key pillar in these streaming services' wider range of offerings that's going to, hopefully for them, both make them a lot of money, keep them well-financed, and in a really good position. And it could be the one really big leg up that they're going to have against something like that is currently the industry leader, which is Netflix. This is something Netflix will never be able to compete with them on. If this thing comes through, I mean, just ESPN, Fox Sports 1, ABC, Fox, and TNT together, That is something Netflix in the world of live streaming sports will, no matter what they do moving forward, they're never going to be able to touch this. And that's going to be the one kind of advantage that they hold. Anyway, Rob, this is a huge deal, which also begs the question, but what other kind of deals could Warner Brothers and Disney make? I mean, if they can make this kind of deal, could we see that DC Marvel crossover movie? I know that question's coming soon. But let's stick to what we've got in front of us. What did you think about this news when you heard it?
Well, to follow up your analogy, I can't help but hear a voice. Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed. Look, I think the idea of it's great, but I wonder how long it's going to work in practice, because you have all of these. First of all, it's hard enough to get consensus within a company, but ESPN has been an incredible albatross around Disney's neck. It's very expensive, and the amount of money it costs to keep these deals together, I understand that. For one company, it's become, they've had a real problem. They've talked about spinning ESPN off, selling it, doing something with it. So I think on paper, this sounds really great. And I think it's really great for the consumer, because sports fans are sports fans, and they'll pay $100 to get a season's worth of NFL games or whatever. And if you're getting for $35 a month every single sport event you have, I mean, even for like sports bars, that's got to be a great deal. I mean, you think about sports bars around the country, they're like, great, we'll all sign up. And so I think it sounds terrific. I just wonder how long these companies, like, who's going to be calling the shots? Disney saying, well, we have a bigger interest, so Warner Brothers, Discovery, we're going to, the viability of it long term, I don't know how long. Maybe it'll work. It sounds good to me on paper, but the actual putting in practice seems problematic, or maybe difficult even down the line. I don't know.
I don't know if the running of it is going to be all that complicated, actually, because if the very nature of this app, let's make up a name for it.
Game time.
Big Dick Sports, okay?
Game time or that, that one works too.
Yeah, that
Big Dick Sports. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to go with. But
That's
let's say
very
that's the name of the
gender
app.
specific, John.
Let's say that's the name of the app. Big Richard Sports.
There you go. My dad's name was Richard.
I don't know that they're going to create Big Dick Sports specific shows, right? Disney will continue to run and operate ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN News, all that kind of stuff. But all that stuff will be available on their own ESPN app, sure, but it's also all going to be available on Big Dick Sports. And ESPN is run by Disney. They continue to operate that. Whereas Fox, they continue to operate and run and program Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, all that kind of stuff. And it's just there on the app. So I don't know if the administration of it, unlike, say, if you try to get two studios to make a Batman, Spider-Man crossover movie, well, now you're going to, who gets to say which line, which superhero gets to get the better lighting. I don't think that's going to be a situation here, because they're just all going to operate their own individual networks, except offer them all together into one package. But will people sign up for it? I know I will, but I don't know how many other people will.
I think they will, because of just the cornucopia of sports. I mean, who wouldn't? If you're a sports fan, this is going to get you everything, it sounds like. And I think for a sports fan, that's a great deal. I mean, I think about it. What if it were not sports and it was Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, and Peacock? What if it was the same thing? You just pay $35 a month for everything. Sign me up.
Yeah. All right, guys. Questions for you. What do you think about this? We're going to keep an eye and see how this unfolds, because I think this is going to have big ramifications on the streaming landscape as a whole. So we'll see how
it Big Dick.
that plays in it. Call it Big Dick Sports. All right. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Fantastic Four is coming, or at least so they've been telling us for the last 4 years. The Fantastic Four is coming. Now, the most solid still has to be qualified as a rumor. The most solid rumor and reports that we've heard about anything regarding Fantastic Four in terms of casting has been that Pedro Pascal was in final negotiations to maybe appear. But in as much as he's been the presumptive Reed Richards, we pointed out the other day, as of right now, there has been no official confirmation that he's actually in the show or in the movie, right? Well, apparently, the Screen Actors Guild has changed that. Now, this comes to us from Superhero Hype, who write the following. Pedro Pascal, they're doing this big career retrospective for Pedro Pascal. Anyway, Pedro Pascal's career retrospective page on the Screen Actors Guild Foundation website seems to have confirmed Pascal's presence in the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, The Fantastic Four. The page listed some of the star's most famous roles, then specifically noted that he will, quote unquote, soon begin production on Fantastic Four. This comes after months of rumors and scoops that said Pascal had the lead role of Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic in the MCU. It said, Pascal recently wrapped production on Ridley Scott's highly anticipated Gladiator 2 and will soon begin production on Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four, the page reads. That comes just from the folks over at Superhero Hype. And I went over and I took a look at it. Yep, there it is, right on SAG's official page. The Actors Union of the Hollywood industry has now put in, he's wrapped up this and he's getting ready to. This is as official confirmation as we've had.
You did say on Monday, John, we were going to get some Fantastic Four casting news.
Yeah.
You did say that.
I did say that. Admittedly, I meant beyond Pedro Pascal.
Right, but still, this
This counts as one. We still got a few days. We still got a couple of days to find out if I was right about that or not. It was just a guess, but we'll see. But I think it's now safe. A lot of fans, including us, have been assuming he was going to be in the Fantastic Four. He's going to be Reed Richards. I think it's now safe to us to make that the presumptive thing. It's official. He's going to be now Reed Richards. He's in the film. It's official. So now we can kind of look at it in those terms. Now, Rob, we've talked in the last number of weeks and whatever about what we think about the possibility of Pedro Pascal playing the role. We've had some time to marinate on it, think about it, hear other opinions about it. And I got to tell you, for me, while if I'd sat down and wrote out a list of who I could see playing Fantastic Four, I don't think Pedro Pascal would have popped to my head.
No.
But I love this casting. And the more and more I've thought about it and watched his performances and other things, and I see more stuff about Reed Richards himself, because, you know, I remember when they were making the last Fantastic Four movie, and I love Miles Teller. I love Michael B. Jordan. I like all the cast of it. But I remember saying back at the time, everybody made fun of me for this, but I said this. I said, look, I want the Fantastic Four. I don't want the Muppet babies. I don't want the Fantastic Four babies. I want the grown-ups. I want the Fantastic Four.
Right.
Right? And when I look at Pedro Pascal, I go, whoever you want to cast in this role, my first question in my head is, can I look at whatever actor you're proposing and think, that's the smartest guy in the room? When I look at Pedro Pascal, particularly, bring up my NDI again, particularly this particular picture, I think, yep, you tell, that guy walks in the room and say, this is the smartest guy in the room. I'll buy it. I believe it. And look, my number one criteria whenever you're talking about fan casting is always starts and finishes with, are they a talented actor? Pedro Pascal is world class. He's already got a number of Emmy Award nominations. He's going to have Emmys on his, and Oscars on his mantle before his career is done. I love the choice. I'm still completely on board with this. Now it's about who are they going to put around him, Rob? Who are they going to put around him? And that's going to become key. Anyway, what do you think about this report that's come out? And how are you feeling now, after we've had a month or two to really think about and sink in? How are you feeling now about Pedro Pascal?
Well, I have to say I've been reading Jonathan Hickman's run on Fantastic Four again in my omnibuses, and I'm quite enjoying it. But I have a theory. Now, I just want to say it's probably that Pedro Pascal is absolutely going to be Reed Richards. We've been hearing about it. But I would say this. I would just posit this as an alternative thought. My favorite thing Pedro Pascal has been in that I've seen him in that I thought he was terrific in was Game of Thrones. I loved him in that role, that brash.
What was he called? The Serpent?
Yeah.
In that or something like that?
The Serpent in the Mountain.
Right.
Was it? And I loved him in that. He was, what if Pedro Pascal is playing Dr. Doom?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's something fans have been throwing around a lot of lately, right? Like even the artist, the ultimate fan artist. Why am I freezing on his name?
Boss
right now?
Logic.
Boss Logic put out, of course, a couple months ago that picture of Pedro Pascal's Dr. Doom.
And I'm
the
thinking,
Viper. Thank you, Arwix. Not the
the
Serpent,
Viper in the city,
yes.
the Viper. That's right, Viper in the Mountain. But I would say that they need to pivot off of this Kang business. So they are casting somebody that's going to be across multiple movies. That's not just in the Fantastic Four movie that might take front and center in the next Avengers film. Who better than Pedro Pascal to do that?
He might, depending on how they're writing Dr. Doom, though, he could be the worst choice for Dr. Doom.
Could be.
And remember, they
I
had
just
this
think in that
Fantastic
role
Four
as the
plan.
Viper, he's great.
they had this role planned long before there was ever any Kang, before Kang ever showed up in the MCU, right?
I know.
So, and the initial reports that came out were specifically saying, the reports that now have turned out to be true, were specifically saying the thing he was in talks for was Reed Richards. So I don't believe at all. I don't have Kevin Feige on the phone telling me, so I don't know this is a fact. I'm just saying as a fan. As a fan, I don't see it all them going Doctor Doom with him. I think the plan has always been him. I think it's always been for Reed Richards.
Well,
that's going to be interesting to see what they do with Doctor Doom.
I mean, it makes sense. He's already the Mandalorian. It's not like he's working for the same company already. So it probably is he's going to be Doctor Doom, and Reed Richards. I'm just thinking, I just loved him in the role as the Viper. And he was really charismatic and brash as an anti-hero.
And loved his orgies.
Yes, he did.
The Viper loved his orgies. Talked about it all the time.
Doctor Doom should have that sort of European foreign flavor, that and bring that more, rather than, I've always thought of Doctor Doom as being more Eastern European.
I always thought it should be Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh yeah, but that would now even probably be cliche, but he'd be the best.
Oh yeah, you're right. It would be totally typecasting. It would be totally cliche. 100%. I would still buy it.
I want to see that.
I mean,
new
but he
movie
was already in Doctor Strange, so
that's right.
true.
Mad, so.
Yeah. No, you never see his face. But you're right. You're right. He's automatically disqualified. Now, some people may say, well, Gemma Chan was in 2 movies. Yeah, but the first movie Gemma Chan was in, she was in total alien makeup and she didn't look like herself at all. Mads Mikkelsen has already been on screen as Mads Mikkelsen. So it'd be too bad for that. But I'd still love to see him as Dr. Doom.
By the way, Eternals was trending yesterday on X. Just want to say. People were standing up for it because of Kumail Nanjiani's comments.
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
He was saying that the bad reviews for the film for Eternals sent him into therapy because he was reading them all and he went down this dark rabbit hole. People were standing up and defending Eternals.
It's a good movie.
I like it.
Yeah.
It made me go back and watch the first half an hour again.
It's one of those MCU movies where I get if it didn't work for some people. I do. Like, I'm not going to argue with somebody who didn't like it because, yeah, I could see why you didn't like it. For me, it worked.
It's so
especially
removed.
Liked him in it. I thought Kumail was great in it.
Kumail was great. And it's so removed from the MCU, and it hasn't had many ramifications since then. So,
but speaking of Mads Mikkelsen and, Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom, the longer and longer the MCU goes, they're going to start running out of people that they can cast. Right? Because we were just talking about, it'd be great for Doctor Doom, Mads Mikkelsen. Already been there, can't use him. All that. So now, but here's the thing. One of the reasons I love the idea of him as Reed Richards too, is he now becomes that centerpiece that you build your cast around. And it's going to be really, really, because now with him in the centerpiece, there might have been an actress that would have been a great Sue Storm, but maybe they second guess and go, but you know what? He'll have better chemistry with this actress.
It's true.
And we already know the whole movie's cast. In case you guys didn't know this, they've already confirmed the movie's cast. The casting's done. They just haven't let us know who it is yet. And I'm more excited than ever to find out who it's going to be. Who's going to be our Ben Grimm? Who's going to be our Sue Storm? Who's going to be our Johnny Storm?
Ebon.
Who?
Ebon, the guy on the bear.
Yeah. Backrack?
Yeah, Backrack.
Yeah, I think he's already denied it. And not Andrew Garfield denied it, like straight up, dude, I would love to do that, but no, they never called me. Right. But I could totally see him as Ben Grimm. He would be a great Ben Grimm. Anyway, guys, what do you think about this? Jump on down and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Super Bowl!
Super Bowl.
Woo!
Or as the vampires call it, the Supreme Owl, the Superb Owl, as they called it in What We Do in the Shadows. The Superb Owl. The Super Bowl is upon us. Get to watch Christian McCaffrey lift that Super Bowl trophy in a couple of days. It's going to be great. But of course, one of the great traditions of Super Bowl now, the reason I'm convinced half the people on the planet who watch the Super Bowl watch is for the commercials. And within those commercials is going to be movie trailers. What is it? $5-7 million for a 30-second spot? I can't remember how much it is, but it's a lot of money.
They should run one for Argyle.
That kills the box office they've had already. So everybody's been wondering and talking about what are the trailers that are coming. Well, I have compiled a list here that I believe are the films, and this is a list not created on my own imagination, but reading different reports from different industry insiders. And I think this is the list that I believe we can depend on that we are going to see at Super Bowl. And it's more than you might think. The trailers you're going to see at Super Bowl, almost 100%, not quite, but is Deadpool 3, Inside Out 2, in a surprise, Twisters.
Yes.
They're saying Twisters are going to drop at this. Quiet Place Day 1, which is probably going to be the 30-second version of the trailer we just got today. One Love, the Bob Marley movie, which I'm actually getting kind of excited
It looks
to see.
good.
Yeah, I'm getting more and more excited for that. The Ryan Reynolds, John Krasinski directed If. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which up until now we've still only had the one spot, the one trailer. Wicked, which I never would have been excited about if it wasn't for the fact that last year at CinemaCon, they showed us this big, 10-minute presentation of it. And I went from giving 0 squirts of urine about Wicked to dying to see this movie.
Me too.
I mean, look, I know a lot of you guys are going, sure. But believe me, this thing looks really good. And I am not the target demographic. But so Wicked and the new Alien project. I think they're going to be dropping a trailer there. I think there's an outside shot that they may run another Fall Guy trailer. By the way, did you see they're going to do a
they're showing
full
that
screening?
CinemaCon.
They're going to show us a full screening of Fall Guy.
Yes,
CinemaCon.
I did. Monday
That's
night.
the first confirmed official screening we're going to get, so I'm very excited about that. Now, remember, I believe all these trailers will be 30-second commercials that are comprised of footage from the trailers, and they will all probably end with trailer online now. So, we'll probably get a very specific I had one viewer write to me and say, how much you want to bet that Taylor Swift's in her private box and she's going to have Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds in there with her, and they are specifically going to be dressed in their Wolverine and Deadpool
Yeah, I was
costumes.
thinking the same thing.
And every time Travis
We
Kelce...
brought that up.
Yep. Every time Travis Kelce catches a ball, they'll go up there and show Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. Probably. Maybe not. That might be too much for even them, but we'll see.
And it'd be funny, over the course of the game, they get more and more belligerent, and by the end they're fighting.
They get
in the
more and more
box.
drunk. Something
Wolverine
happens.
and Deadpool fighting.
Take a shot every time Travis
and
Kelce
Taylor
makes a
Swift's like,
catch.
guys, come on.
So, Rob, as I look on this list, the Twisters one caught me by surprise. But if you want to make your first big splash, do it at Super Bowl. That's obviously what Deadpool is doing. And, one of the reasons studios will play these trailers at Super Bowl is because Super Bowl is a lot of sports fans, which aren't normally the people who are going out hunting down trailers on YouTube and stuff like that. They're reaching literally a new audience, dropping these things there. That's why they dropped, what was the trailer they dropped during the new Despicable Me? They dropped the new trailer for that in front of the NFC Championship game, right? That's why they used to drop the new Star Wars trailers on Sunday Night Football and stuff like that. So they're really hammering a big audience. This is, of course, the biggest broadcast viewed event on the planet of the year. And so it's going to be big. So anything that surprises you that is on this list, Rob, and more importantly, is there anything surprising you that they didn't put on this list? I was kind of thinking they might drop another Dune spot, like a last second big Dune spot, but apparently they're not going to be doing that. I don't know. What surprised you?
Not much. I mean, look, only because I want to see it. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, but he financed that himself, so he's not going to be dropping millions of dollars. It's probably all going into post. But there wasn't really anything that this seemed, because he's also on the Super Bowl trailers. They're not usually promoting a movie that's coming out at the end of the year. So maybe, I don't know when Wicked is coming out, but so this seems like a pretty solid list. I mean, if you look at it, Ryan Reynolds and Krasinski, and Krasinski Quiet Place, and Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool and Wolverine. So there's a lot of cross promotion they could be doing. They could do a whole fun thing throughout the whole game if they wanted to, not just with Deadpool and Wolverine, but with and with A Quiet Place.
Yeah,
I mean, 3 guys, they're on it. So.
Some people are saying, they'll probably do one for the Bad Batch. Disney's not going to drop $7 million to put a Bad Batch.
No, not for an animated. No.
on there. Dune 2 is a big surprise, I think, for a lot of people. Some people wondering, no Godzilla versus Kong. That's another one that I thought maybe they could have dropped.
Oh, they should.
But I again, and maybe they'll surprise us. Again, this is not a definitive list I just shown. This is just,
Sure.
I think, the likely lineup.
I think that's a possibility only because of the kind of movie it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course, it would probably blow most of their budget. Sonic, Bad Boys 4.
Oh, Sonic would be cool.
Some people saying Despicable Me 4, but they just dropped that last week at the
Yeah.
AFC Championship game, so probably not.
I mean, I'd love to see a Folly Dude Joker 2, you know?
That movie's still too far away, though, isn't it? Like, to drop that kind of money that you're not going to enjoy any benefit from putting the trailer out that far in advance,
Yeah, it's ways out.
that becomes problematic. So,
But the thing is, whatever they drop then gets watched millions and millions and millions and millions of times on the internet.
right. But that would still happen if you put it out 2 months before the movie came out. And it would be closer to the movie coming out, so you actually get the momentum. So, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Are there any films on here that surprised you? Are there films missing from here that are surprising you? Would you think there could be some big surprises that come up in something we weren't expecting? Whatever you guys think, jump on down and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, we're now going to move on to the most important part of the show, which is taking your thoughts, theories, comments, and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick moment here. And speaking of Deadpool, thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, my mobile service provider. And guys, they absolutely should be yours. What are you doing if they're not? Our friends at Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. On average, it takes about 30 days for a person to break their New Year's resolution. So if saving money was on your 2024 list, your odds aren't looking that great. Luckily, I have a 100% guaranteed way to save you money this year. Just switch to Mint Mobile. For a limited time, wireless plans from Mint Mobile are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. That's unlimited talk, text, and data for $15 a month. I've told you guys many times that after switching to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than a third on my cell bill than I used to with a major carrier. Say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All Mint plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And don't worry about having to change phones or numbers. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. So guys, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bills to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And thank you to our friends at Mint Mobile for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what are we starting off with?
All right, let me scroll here. Just lost my guy. Okay, Logan LeBlanc says, "Hey, John and crew, what do you think of the current Xbox third-party situation going on? Thanks, bring on the filthy. Also, love the show, guys."
I have no idea what we're talking about.
He's talking about like a lot of the games that were supposed to just be on Xbox. There's talks of like Indiana Jones and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, okay, because if that's true, yeah, because we were talking the other day about the fact that Indiana Jones, which, you know, we were joking about the fact that it was going to be an Xbox exclusive. I was reading a report that's saying actually now it might actually be available on PlayStation come December of this year. So, look, I get the whole idea of exclusive, whether they're PS5 exclusive, Xbox exclusives. I just think all games should be on all the platforms, and whichever platform does it, whichever makes the best machine to run it best or has the best controllers for you wins. But, so I don't really care.
Yeah, like I don't get into that either. It's like if they want to license out the games or put them on other consoles, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I play most of my games on the computer anyway. So, all right, what's next?
Sanchez guy says, "Hi, John. We all know Roald Dahl, the British actor, but author, yeah. But I want to ask you this: what movies based on Dahl's novels did you watch, and which Roald Dahl novel is your crown jewel?"
Don't read them. I honestly, like with the most of my reading has always been mostly in the neighborhood of fantasy and stuff like that. I mean, other than Shogun and things of that nature. But I've never read any Roald Dahl, to be honest.
Oh, as a kid, I read them all. But you know what one of my favorite Roald Dahl movies is?
What's up, Roald Dahl?
The James Bond film, You Only Live Twice.
Dang.
Shout out, he wrote that. I bet people forget that.
I had no idea he wrote that.
Yes, he did. And I would say my favorite is probably Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. I can even recite the Oompa Loompa poem.
Well, that's the one that
from
everybody thinks about when they think of Roald Dahl is the Willy Wonka.
Yeah, but then again, Danny the Champion of the World, James the Giant Peach, all those. I even have a collection of 3 novellas he wrote called Switch Bitch. Believe it or
Really?
not. And Tales from the Unexpected. There's a whole TV series, a British show called, it's not like Twilight Zone, but it's an anthology show called Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected. And you can read the stories or watch the show.
All right, what's next?
Monkey Pants says, "What is Kingdom of Heaven, and should I watch it?" Well, if you do the director. cut.
Yes, sir. It's great.
Yeah, it's a movie that wasn't very good, but it's one of the rare movies that most people agree the director's version is a definitively better movie.
Yeah.
It's an hour longer. It's like a totally different experience.
Yeah, it literally turns it in from a not a very good movie to a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the one.
One
that
of Scott's best, I think.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Gregory B says, "Thank you, Ray. Now I can't wait to see Doe Devil eat again. I'd rather see this comedy than the other shows Marvel's been putting out lately. Secret Invasion is their Star Wars holiday special."
Oh, yeah, Secret Invasion is going to be that movie that they kind of
So
Let's
disappointing.
not talk about that. I honestly don't think we're ever going to see Gaia again. I really don't. I mean, I have no insider information on that. That's just me speculating. I doubt we're going to see Gaia
I want
again.
Super Scrolls, man. Give me the Kree
That thing was so
Scroll.
bad. But yeah, I'm surprised. I think any artists out there, send us in your Doe Devil
Yeah.
Eat Again poster. I want to
Always
see
in
that.
Hell's Kitchen.
And
Like
with
literally in Hell's Kitchen.
that, show us that Grand Admiral Pie poster as well.
Oh, man.
All right, what's next?
Terrible.
Jesse Roy, game day. Today is
Game
my
day.
birthday, 26
Oh.
years old.
Heck yeah.
I've been a fan for over 8 years, and I'll want to say thank you for being here for me. I was in an accident and a coma.
Wow.
You guys saved me and made me stronger. And stronger, so maybe he's just...
I'm almost positive it wasn't Jesse because we've got another viewer who wrote in that was in an accident a few months ago and actually
recently.
had a little time in a coma.
And also, that was all you, buddy. That was all you.
Yeah, that
man.
wasn't
No.
us. That was you.
It was the healing power
No, come on, John.
of our
Let's be real.
sweet words.
Happy birthday.
And happy birthday.
That was
Happy
all
birthday.
you. That was all you.
All right, what's next?
Alex Mata says, oh wait, no. Gregor B says, Ray gave me a great idea to get better content from Disney. Everyone meet at the Disney Studios lot. We'll set up a blockade. Don't worry, John, it's perfectly legal. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
That's one of the most memorable clips ever on the show, probably.
I just like Chris's reaction to it because
Chris's reaction was so good.
That was
Should I be
so.
laughing at this?
The best Chris reaction, though, and I can say this because she's not here. The best Chris reaction, though, we were doing the John Campea show one day live, and it was me, Aaron, and Chris.
Oh,
And an earthquake hit.
Uh,
And it started, the earthquake started a little light, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, we're getting the earthquake. And Chris looked so excited. She goes, guys, this is my first earthquake in California. And then the bigger hit.
The jolt.
Hit, right? And things started to fall down off the walls. And I just looked annoyed because I'm like, oh, no, I got to stop the show. But Chris went from, this is my first thing to like to be like, really, like she did like, boom, like a switch. She went from being like super excited
That
she
was
was
her.
experiencing an earthquake to being terrified.
that was like her welcome to football moment.
Yeah.
When some guy gets tackled real hard, welcome to football.
And so we stopped the show and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was a pretty memorable one too. All right, what's next?
Alex Mata says, today marks the 10-year anniversary of the Lego movie, a top 5 animated movie for me personally.
Wow. You know what? First of all, that's weird that was 10 years ago. I have still not had anybody explain to me, because I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure there must be a logical explanation. But I have yet had anybody tell it to me how that movie did not get nominated for Best Animated Feature that year. Because it should have won the award. And it didn't get nominated. And I crap talked that movie ever since they announced it. Like, who's going to give a crap about plastic building blocks, the movie, right? And I adore that movie, but it never even got nominated for Best Animated. And again, I'm sure there must be some kind of a rule issue or something, but I've never had it explained to me. What do you think about it?
I got to say that a fan of this show, a great Hollywood producer, very successful Hollywood producer named Roy Lee, told me he was the person that decided to go out and get the rights.
Right.
And he told me something very interesting that really stuck with me was he's a gamer and he was playing the video games, the Lego video games.
Right.
And he was the one, he thought to himself, well, these video games are charming. They're great games. They work. And they're Lego people. And that's what made him decide to like go after the rights. And I think that movie was, I honestly believe this, he hasn't said this to me or anything. I think it was discriminated against for the very reason you pointed out. People like Lego, we're not gonna, why should we? And that movie is absolutely delightful.
It's wonderful.
Everything is awesome.
Oh,
You know, I mean, that movie is so delightful. And, you know, Lego had already proved, it's so funny because it shows that in Hollywood, I mean, Roy Lee is also the guy that said, hey, why don't I buy the rights to, I don't know, these Asian films people don't know in America, like Infernal Affairs, or like all the J-horror stuff, like The Ring, which, by the way, is coming out in a box set in 4K from our friends over at Shout Factory. But, yeah, I mean, I think it was, I think that there was a prejudice against the fact that it was, in fact, the Lego movie. I really do, because clearly that movie was amazing, and the fact that it was so good that they were able to make a Lego movie into something that great. Same was true in a way of Barbie. Barbie, I think, has kind of faced that same thing where
they
people
got a Best Picture nomination.
Well, yeah.
Forget the cop-out Best Animated.
But I mean,
got a
at
Best Picture
first,
nomination.
I mean, at first. But I think movies like the Lego movie helped pave the way where people didn't just write stuff off, you know?
I mean, it's a theory.
But I think the Lego movie, I think it faced that. And it's amazing because when you watch that movie, even I went in, because I've been playing with Lego my whole life. I still build Lego stuff. It's so good. I recently rewatched it. Man, that's an entertaining movie. And it's beautifully written and performed.
All right, what's next?
We got Logan LeBlanc, sorry. Hey, John and crew, what do you think of the current... Oh, no, we just did that one. Ron H., Netflix giving the notorious ROB a special Valentine's gift with its show House of Ninjas.
I texted you this.
On February...
I'm sitting at home, and my phone goes off. I'm like, what is it? And it's Rob with, like, in all caps. Actually, you know, I did open mic the other day, even showed people your text, like, all caps, House of Ninja. Have you seen this? And I checked it out, like, I think it was the next day, I text back to Rob about something important, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Yes, Rob resides. But what about House of Ninjas? I was telling people on open mic, the part I loved most, this is going to be weird, but the part I loved most about the trailer for House of Ninja is just the teenage son restocking the pop machine from 15 feet away, just going vroom, vroom, and the soda going exactly where the can's going exactly where they're supposed to go. And this whole thing about like this, I mean, look, there's nothing new here.
No.
Nothing new is here.
You don't need anything new.
No, this is, you know what this House of Ninjas is? It's a live action The Incredibles.
Yes.
You know, a mom and a dad, their two kids, out of the game. We're not back in the game. We retired as ninja. No more ninja. But then they pissed him off, and now he's. Listen, ever since Sho Kasagi, man, I've been a big fan of straight up baller, cheesy ninja stars to the chest. I love these things. I thought this trailer looked great.
Cheesy.
Deliciously cheesy.
Okay. I need a clarification.
Is this based on like any?
I don't know. I don't know if it's based
True life?
on
Yes.
manga.
No, but like
events.
straight, like
Anime or
something like it's adapted.
I don't know. All I know is that, dude, I saw this trailer, and Elizabeth, she goes, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Oh my god!" My voice cracked, and I'm like watching this thing, and it's like they made it just for me.
If they somehow, some way, sneak in a Sho Kasagi cameo, I will defecate myself. I think I want to see Sho Kasagi. Anyway.
Or Michael Dudikoff.
Or Michael Dudikoff.
The American
Keep your
Ninja.
doo-doo to
But
yourself.
also, Ron did continue. Also, Ninja Kamui February 10th on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
So there you go, Rob.
I'm not familiar with that, but
Kamui
House of Ninja looks great.
that is a manga.
All right.
The Legend of Kamui.
What's
All right.
next?
Seconds from Disaster. My daughter goes to her grandmother's on Saturday morning, so we have our Disney Plus signed in at her house and uses her profile. How will they handle that? If it's a different address, right?
That it could be problematic.
Yeah.
It might be problematic.
Have her bring a tablet, I guess.
Yeah, I was about to say the best solution to that is to have a tablet that is the device is signed in and all that kind of stuff. That'll work. You can even then stream from the tablet. Get your mom a Roku, a Chromecast, whatever kind of device. They're $30. have your daughter sign in a tablet, and then she can just stream it to the TV, and it won't become an issue. All right, what's next?
Okay, Seconds is back and says, "Have you guys seen the Netflix trailer for House of Ninjas? It looks like
haven't seen that one yet.
Rob's alley.
Hope it's good. Sounds good. Oh my God, Joe! Just this guy when he's not talking like this, I'm like, oh, this is so freaking awesome. Can't wait. All right, what's next?
TJ Perry says, I had to think about that. I heard him already snickering. TJ Perry says, Quiet Place 2 in D-Box 4D, seats simulated on-screen action was my favorite theater experience ever. Completely fried my nerves. Can't wait for day one.
So
dude, that would be crazy.
I have never been to a 4D Screen X screening. My wife, Anne, her sister, Olive, and their brother, Ray, went for the first time ever to a 40X screening of Top Gun Maverick. And apparently, like, your sister was just completely confused. Like, your sister, Olive, was like completely confused by the whole situation.
One of the greatest reactions I heard, because she, even when we were seated down, she's like, what is this? She's like, she's looking down. And then all of a sudden, in the first scene, because, like, I think there was water involved in one of the first scenes, water splashes on us. And she's like, what the heck? I had to turn off the water because she's wearing her, like, nice leather, whatever stuff. So I was like, and then, dude, it's very exciting.
Dune 2 with that popcorn bucket, 40X, huh?
There's a sensory.
I need one of
kind
them.
of
I'm worried I won't be able to get one. I need one.
What's cool is not only that. There's like when they landed in the snow in that movie, snow started coming down. Well, like fake snow.
Yeah.
But I mean, they really go all out on those. So hopefully you find the right movie to watch in 40X or D-Box, and you actually have a good time.
By the way, I've often told you guys about how, like, Anne and Ray's sister Olive is also married to a Canadian non-drinking white boy Star Wars fan. But I've also talked about Olive's sister is shorter than Anne, and Stan is like 6'7", 6'9". Yeah. Here's a picture.
He probably should have sat for that picture.
I think he is sitting down. So that's our brother. That's my brother-in-law Stan, and this was at our house over Christmas. That's Olive in the middle there. But like, yeah, Stan, he was a full scholarship ride NCAA basketball player too, was he not?
Yeah. He actually went up in the draft too. But
yep, and bodybuilder, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Anyway, and of course there's our dogs. All right. Anyway, I've talked about Olive and Stan a bunch. I thought you should guys see a picture of them. All right. What's next?
I think I triggered the chat with my comment. Victor Edbaum says, what are your thoughts on Batman Returns? I rewatched it in the theater recently, and it's my favorite, or my top 3 amongst Batman films, along with 89 and The Dark Knight. Michelle Pfeiffer is still my favorite Catwoman.
All right. I love Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. She is still the definitive Catwoman to me. I didn't love Batman Returns. I'll be honest with you. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love Batman Returns. I thought there were some very interesting things they did in it, but it was not my favorite. I don't know, Rob. I don't think we've ever talked about Batman.
Never have.
What do you think about it?
I'm actually a big fan of it, but it's the most Tim Burton. It's even more Tim Burton than the first Tim
100%,
Batman.
Yep.
And it's got a lot of stuff like penguins with rockets on them. Inherently, I should not like these things, but there's something about that particular movie and the way he presented it. I like it because it's so Tim Burton, and I almost look at it as sort of a silent film. To me, if it was made in the 1920s and it was a silent movie, it would have been one of the greatest things ever made. But I like Max Schreck, Walken as Max Schreck. It just got goofy. It's goofy and weird, and it's got a lot of horrific and gothic elements in it that work for me. But it's an acquired taste.
It definitely treads that line, right?
Yeah, it really is. I don't even think of it as I like it as a Tim Burton movie. I don't know if I like it as a Batman movie, but you're right. Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie is so much fun.
Oh, yeah. She, to me, is still the definitive one. All right, what's next?
Gene Check says, what separates Batman and a shoplifter? Shoplifters can never move into a shop without robbing.
That's not good.
GX Paula says, watching Smallville, and it's good. I like dramas like The OC, so it's for me. I like Welling, but ain't no way he's 14. Schneider is my favorite. Pa Kent.
Listen, I still remember, and I'm a fan of Smallville, and I remember maybe the most anger I've ever faced from a lot of my audience. This is going back to the movie blog days when I was doing the movie blog audio edition, the world's first movie podcast. True. I'm not, no hyperbole. It was the world's first movie podcast. But we did the movie blog audio edition. And in one of our first episodes, it was right after Brandon Routh got cast. And a lot of people were like, only Tom Welling should be Superman. And I remember saying, guys, look, I am a fan of Smallville too. But this is Superman, not Smallville the movie. They've never said they were making Smallville the movie. And Smallville ain't Superman. I mean, it's its own CW kind of thing that I enjoyed very much. I liked it very, very much. And I love Tom Welling. But that wasn't Superman. That was its own thing. And they were making a Superman movie. And they're two different things. And boy, people did not want to hear that. There were people who were like, nope, F this movie. If it's not Tom Welling, it shouldn't be anybody. It's like, it's a different thing. But I know when you look back, did you watch Smallville when it was on?
I did.
Podcast? What did you think about it?
I did. I mean, I liked it a lot. And I always liked it when they had like the Justice Society appear, or I liked how they tied it into the DC
Hey,
universe.
Reacher. This first time we
Right,
ever saw Reacher,
Aquaman.
Alan Ritchson as Aquaman in that.
I mean, but I do think that they played this weird game where they wanted to sort of stay away from Superman. You know, the idea that they toyed with us, because how long did that run? 10 seasons or something?
that was a long time.
It was a long time, and I enjoyed it. It was again, it's another look at the character of Superman. It's another interpretation, and I thought there was a lot of really good stuff in it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't watch it religiously.
And
know?
loved it. And watched Smallville a lot. She used to love that. All right, what's next?
Gene Shack is back and says, have you guys seen the new spot or the new If spot? They
Yeah.
really brought back Asian Jim Gag from The Office.
So, I think we talked about this a little bit the other day. That if you guys haven't seen it, look it up with the visionary director. It's literally Ryan Reynolds sitting in a chair talking about If, and then Randall Park getting in the director's chair next to him talking about my movie that I've directed. And then they just drag it on, and then they even show behind the scenes footage of
Oh, yeah, that
Randall
was great.
Park directing the movie. And then they went one step further. This is John Krasinski's Instagram, and he literally changed his profile picture to Randall Park. They're running an 18-year-old gag that is just perfect. I laughed my ass off when I saw this. I thought it was just brilliant. Did you see that?
Oh
part?
yeah, it was. I couldn't believe. I mean, this is only Ryan Reynolds can get away with this kind of stuff. You know, it's just genius. Genius. I didn't know though that you told me this morning that he changed his
Krasinski changed his Instagram profile
so
picture to
funny.
Randall Park. It's so brilliant. All right, what's next? Oh, it's one of our live viewers. That's Stuber, saying I don't get the reference. And you know what? It's a super old reference.
And you did one episode.
In one episode, one gag in
Cold
one
open,
episode of The Office. You know how John Krasinski's character Jim would always prank Dwight? Well, they had this Asian guy come in Jim's clothes, sit at Jim's desk, and just try to convince Dwight, no, what are you talking about, Dwight? I'm Jim. And he went by the name of Asian Jim.
He even changed his, like, the photo of him
With his
Pam.
wife. Yeah, with
on
Pam.
his desk.
To be like Dwight would run over to like, grab their wedding picture or something like that, and it's actually Randall Park. They went that far to change the picture and everything. It's just this one quick gag, one of the best gags ever. And it's got to be, 18 years since they did that gag? I can't even remember how long ago it was that they did that gag. And they just brought it back up, and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was great. Yeah, there's a much younger looking Randall Park
Oh, yeah.
in that picture. All right, what's next?
Damaris Love says, I gave my sisters 2 Fire Sticks that are registered under my household. Is that sharing violation? If so, I'll buy them Disney Plus accounts for her. I guess you'd have to find out.
Yeah,
Oh, $20. Thank you.
That's a very, very good question. What happens if they're on devices that are in your house and then they leave your house? The devices leave your house, right? Not some rando at their house using their own devices to log in and whatever, but actually Disney Plus on this Fire Stick or on this Roku device or on this Chromecast or on this Apple TV box. I don't know. I think the safest thing to do is to assume it won't work. It may work, but I think the safest thing to do is assume it won't work, because if you and your sisters live in 3 different households, then that is probably the kind of thing that Disney and Netflix and whatever is probably going to be looking to crack down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would just, especially Disney, just assume Disney's going to figure out how to crack down.
But if it's all in the same house and the same IP address, I don't think there's any issue.
Right. I agree.
All right. What's next?
CR says, this is Crane, Poole, and Schmidt. And one more thing. I'm Schmidt. Not sure what that's from. A legal thing?
That's Boston Legal, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I've told so many people. I was talking about this a little bit on Open Mic yesterday. There are a lot of great shows, but there are certain shows that I think are must watch. Like if you're a big TV guy, I think there's certain shows that are must watch. The Office. Even though it's kind of before our time, MASH. But Boston Legal, I believe, is absolutely must watch. You know, the question came in on Open Mic yesterday. Somebody was asking me, okay, best character, Red Reddington. Raymond Reddington, or Red as he's known as, or his character on Boston Legal. And I didn't hesitate. The character on Boston Legal.
Well,
simple, easy. And then I said this too. I said, it's going to sound sacrilegious to say it, but the defining role of William Shatner's career is not Captain Kirk. It's
let's not go that far.
Boston Legal, where he won multiple Emmy
He won
awards.
2. Well, he won on The Practice. You know,
Right,
because remember
same
he brought
character
that
though, still
character
playing Denny
over.
Craig, right?
Yeah.
Won again, and then nominated almost every year that he played the character. So he has multiple Emmys from it, nominated almost every year. His Denny Crane character is like one of my all-time favorite television characters, is that character. If you have not watched Boston Legal, you really should. It's so good.
It's so good. And their
the
relationship
between James Spader and William Shatner is insanely awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, what's next?
No, his cover of Rocket Man was his defining moment as an actor, actually.
They played that at the Saturn Awards on the Sunday.
Did they?
That.
Yeah, because he was there.
All right, what's next?
Eric Andre the Giant. Police confirmed. I knew that was going to get Ray. Police confirmed that the man that fell from an 18-story nightclub was not a bouncer. Oh my God.
Was not what?
A bouncer.
A bouncer.
He didn't bounce.
That was pretty good.
He wasn't a bouncer.
All right, what's next?
Can you imagine police are like, he wasn't the bouncer. All right. Dominic Suma. I love Henry Cavill, but I get the sense he is a bit polarizing with general audiences. Only reason I can think is because he wasn't universally embraced as Superman.
This is one thing that a lot of movie
I don't
fans
think the
have
actor
to learn and get over. That an actor does not write their lines. You may not have liked the way, I loved his Superman. Now, you may not have loved the way they wrote that Superman and what they had that Superman do and what they had that Superman say. But Henry Cavill took that character, the way they wrote it, and I think performed it brilliantly. If you don't know how good of an actor he is, go back and watch like The Tudors. That's where it was my
That's
first
the first
exposure.
time I saw him.
Also,
Yeah.
The Witcher. He was great as The Witcher.
Oh, he's great as The Witcher.
And he was great
loved him in The Man from Uncle.
Yeah, Man from Uncle. He's great in that too.
He's just a great actor. I just don't see there being any. Look, it's a subjective thing. I get it, and that's all fair. But he should not be a polarizing figure. He's just a great actor. He's really, really talented.
100%.
Period. All right, what's next?
Amin says, my ranking for the best picture films, Oppenheimer, American Fiction, Holdovers, Anatomy of a Fall, Poor Things, Killers of the Flower Moon, The Zone of Interest, Barbie, Past Lives, Maestro. I love all of them except for Maestro. What's your top 3 and bottom 3?
No, I'm not. I don't do any kind of rankings.
You did have
on
kind
the
of a
spot.
hot take for American Fiction, though.
Well, okay. So I came in this morning and I said, because last night I went to go watch American Fiction again because Ann hadn't seen it yet. And I came out of it going, you know what? Because to me, best actor, most likely Cillian Murphy. That's who probably I would lean towards for Oppenheimer. But you know what? I came out of watching American Fiction again last night, and he won't win. But I changed my mind. I think if I had a vote, on the Academy, and I don't, but if I did, I honestly think the best performance of the year, as great as all the other nominees are, I really now think the best performance of the year was Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. It was because he was a broken but funny but serious, but like at different times he had to play all these different things, and he played it so well with a really intriguing character. And I just love what he just owned the screen every moment that he was on it. And he was terrific. But I mean, all those movies nominated were great. I wouldn't have had Maestro, I don't think, on the Best Picture
I would have had
nomination
Air
list.
as a
But it's very good.
swappable.
It's very good. But no complaints from me. All right, what's next?
Okay, Red One Real Talk. We're about a month away from 3 Body Problem dropping on Netflix. I can't describe how excited I am for this. I finished the book a few weeks ago, and I think this might be, to me, what Shogun is to you this year, John. Will any of you be tuning in when it airs? I think pretty much most of them.
I know you're super excited about it. Here's the thing. I read a bunch of the synopsis of the book. Here's my worry. I don't know that this is going to translate to the screen super well. Like, I know somebody else already did it.
Yeah, the Chinese did it.
Right.
There's a 30. You can watch it on YouTube.
And how well did it turn out?
It turned out really well.
Did it?
It did. But it's very, in terms of a lot of its use of music and pacing, it's not exactly westernized enough. I read the book. I mean, I really love the book, but I fear. I like you. I heard somebody say, a friend of mine who works in the industry was telling me that somebody they knew had seen the show and was completely perplexed by it and was like, what is this? And I don't like the Chinese series. You can watch all 30 episodes, and they adapted the first book. It's a really it's not an easy thing to bring to audiences to get them to dig it. And I'm curious to see look, I think if anybody can do it, Weiss and Benioff can do it, because in this case, it's a trilogy. It's the first book in a trilogy. And I don't know if they're going to play out the first book over the course of multiple seasons. But I think that Weiss and Benioff, they were great with Game of Thrones until they ran out of the books. But for the first 5 seasons, they were really great. So I'm hoping I have very high hopes for this show. I'm really excited about it. But I think the potential to fail is enormous.
It's a big, it looks like a story that's a very big swing.
It's a big swing because it's weird. and I mean, the concepts in it are hard to sort of grasp. I mean, if you ask people, what is the 3-body problem? It's a physics problem about how planetary mechanics work. And it's just like, okay, well, I'll let you guys figure that one out.
All right, we got time for just a couple more. What's next?
Culture Wars Diplomacy says, serious question. If enough people recognize a film as being more than some of its parts, then is it still true that I know it's a bad movie, but if enough people say that, it's still subjective. So
Here's the thing. And this is going to be a subject of debate and argument for forever. But movies, to me, when you boil it all down, a movie is an experiential event. That's what it is. As a piece of art, it is an experience event. Art is meant to elicit an experience from you, whether when you listen to it, when you observe it, when you whatever. It creates and generates an experience that you have. If you watched a movie and it created for you an experience that you enjoyed, whether it's an experience of feeling scared or an experience of laughing or an experience of a thrill or an experience of introspection or an experience of whatever it is that you enjoy and that works for you, whatever. For you, it's a good movie. It's a movie that worked. At its prime level, it worked. Whether or not you felt like, Rob, I'll often talk about like comedy, right? Like a comedy is a very unique kind of amongst the genres, because you can have lame acting and you can have a not so good script and you can have bad direction and you can have bad whatever. But if that movie consistently, purposefully makes you laugh throughout the movie, you give it a pass for everything.
And that's not easy to do.
No, it's very difficult. And you can't necessarily say that about all the other genres, right? Maybe horror. Horror is another one. Like, you can do everything bad, but if you legitimately deliver the thrills and creeps, people are going to walk away from that. So everybody wants to be able to boil it down to a scientific formula. There simply isn't. There's not a scientific formula of it. It's all a matter of perspective and what the certain phrase means to you. So I don't think we can reduce it to that. I don't know, Rob. What do you think?
No, I agree with you, but I don't think. Look, if the parts are there, but if it doesn't work as a whole, I don't think. And it has to work as a whole for a majority of people.
100%.
You know, and if it doesn't, it's never going to be considered a great movie, even though the sum of its parts are there.
It can be great to you,
yeah,
but it won't be considered a great film overall.
Exactly, 100%.
Right. All right. Last question of the day. What's next?
CJ Rebirth says, I saw Lisa Frankenstein early and loved it. It's my favorite movie so far this year, and Zelda Williams did a great job directing it. Kat Newton and Cole Sprouse's chemistry was delightful. It's like a mix of Tim Burton, John Hughes, Warm Bodies, and Heathers. I had said Warm Bodies and Heathers. So
you did.
Funny.
You mentioned that before.
Please go see it. I want to see it.
I'll be honest with you. Despite the fact that it's the girl from Supernatural, she was also in Detective Pikachu, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, I did not think the trailer was good at all. I didn't find the trailer funny or intriguing.
Do you know that it takes place in the same universe as Jennifer's Body?
Does it really?
Yeah. So now there's a Jennifer's Body universe. A Jennifer's Body
intriguing.
multiverse.
Which reduces your potential audience even more. But listen, you're not the first person to tell me that they saw it and that they liked it.
Yeah.
I've heard from another people that it's actually pretty good. So
I think it's
might
really
have to check it out.
polarizing.
What's that?
I think it's really polarizing.
Have you seen it?
No, but
No,
I think
okay.
I've seen very wildly opposing opinions.
Okay, because the only people who've written into me have said they actually quite liked it. So I haven't checked. What's the Rotten Tomato score on it? Ray, if you can check that out. Because again, like I said, I like the actress.
It is. Wow.
Which one was it?
Okay.
One that's on top.
Well,
This right here?
It is. It says right here on the front page, 52%.
52. So that's the definition of polarizing, right? Half like it, half
Yep.
don't.
44 reviews, 52%.
We got a request for one more question from Rob. Can we
Okay,
do
what's
this one
that?
last? Okay. Noah Biter says, Ray, if you love The Martian, you should read Project Hail Mary
Oh, we were just talking about this.
from the same author, and they are turning it into a movie soon. They have Lord and Miller tapped to direct and Gosling to star.
I have every single Andy Weir book. It's just I stopped having to travel. That's where I would read. I would buy the books.
You when you were commuting into Burbank.
commuting
Yeah.
on the Metrolink.
Yeah.
So I read the first chapters, but I have to finish it. Me and Rob were talking about it earlier.
Just before the show started, you guys were talking
He's
about
got
this
me
specifically.
so excited. I love this author. The way he writes, it pulls me in. Unlike any other author I've ever tried to read, because I don't read books. I really dislike reading books.
Oddly enough, the same is said about the Dune 2 popcorn bucket.
I gotta say that this book, I read this book in one sitting. It is, I would say this, of all the movies I know that are in production or going into production, they start shooting this in June. Drew Goddard wrote the script, Lord Miller returning to live action. I am most excited about this film. I would say that if you're a science fiction fan, and this is the most wildly entertaining, most fun, intriguing, this could be a science fiction movie for the ages if it's
Is it
pulled
public
off.
knowledge who the lead star of it is?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, because
Ryan-
it's on IMDb.
Okay, so good Canadian kid, Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling,
gonna be
and
starring
who,
in
by
it.
the way, is perfect to play the lead role.
Yes,
and I will
sir.
say this, it's going to take a lot to pull off. It is going to introduce, I would go this far, the most beloved alien since E.T. But it's not like E.T. But in terms of a new hero alien, if they pull this off, it's going to be one for the ages.
All right. And guys, that'll do it for our time here today on the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making this show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. A little bit of a programming note. We're going to be doing an open mic a little bit later this afternoon. So you guys want to come back and just hang out casually and chat about movies and TV and stuff, come on back and join me a little bit later this afternoon. We're going to be doing that there. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Mr. Ray Ora,
See you later.
Jonathan Voico,
See you guys.
writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett.
Hey there.
My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.